Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a meal prep of a few items that we're going to be eating throughout the week. The first thing we're going to be making today is a chicken, broccoli, and rice casserole with an Alfredo sauce base that we're making from scratch. I'm going to start with the rice. I'm using basmati rice and I'm just measuring out the dry portion and then I'm going to rinse it. Rinse, rinse, rinse until the water is completely clear. And don't worry, I'll leave a link to all the recipes in the description box below. I'll be making this rice in the Instant Pot, so the proportion that I use is 1 cup of dry rice to 1 1/4 cup of water. I'm using a mug. I know it's completely weird, but that's actually just how I was taught. Cooking the rice in the Instant Pot was not in the recipe, but this was just easiest for me. So I'm going to add some salt to taste and a little bit of oil. Feel free to use as much as you think that you need. Once this is added, I'm going to stir up the water and then I'm going to close the lid, pressure cook for 4 minutes, and then let natural release for 20. While the rice is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get started on spinach dip. This is the simplest recipe that I'll probably ever make in my life. It is equal parts of sour cream and equal parts of mayo. My tip is don't use low-fat mayo. It has this like sweetness to it that makes it kind of weird tasting. Use regular. This dip is a splurge, so it'll be worth it. The secret ingredient to this dip is Knorr Vegetable Soup Mix Dry Packet. It is spectacular flavor and everybody will be left wanting more. The reason that I want to make this dip kind of before I make everything else is because the dehydrated vegetables in there need a little bit of time to sort of soak up the moisture from the sour cream and the mayo. Finally, the last thing for this dip is chopped frozen spinach. This is actually the bane of my existence. If you know an easier way for me to defrost this and get out the moisture, leave your comments down below because I would really love some tips on this. I obviously, as you can see, have just done my best soaking out as much as I can, breaking up the chunks. I actually had this sitting out on my counter from the night before to try and defrost, but it was still quite a bit frozen. Once the dip is all stirred up, I'm going to go ahead and cut some sourdough bread. Now, you've probably seen this before where there's this sourdough loaf, somebody cuts out the middle and the dip goes in the middle. But because we're going to be eating this throughout the week, I don't want to do that. So I've just kept the dip in a separate bowl, cut up all the bread into small chunks for us to eat. But also one of the really good things that I like about having this dip is that we eat it with vegetables, raw vegetables, so it kind of forces us to eat a little bit more of these vegetables throughout the week. If you've never made rice in the Instant Pot, this is your sign to try it. Just take a look at how perfect and fluffy this rice has come out. Next up is the Alfredo sauce. I accidentally came across this recipe on Pinterest one day and on a whim decided to give it a try. And let me tell you, it is the best Alfredo sauce I have ever had. I was so sick of the jar stuff. It was getting really expensive for my family because we needed more than one jar. The taste wasn't that good. And we were just overall unsatisfied with it. But trust me, try this one, you will love it. I started by melting some butter, then I added some garlic powder and fresh crushed garlic. I mixed those together, and then after a couple of minutes I added the flour, let that cook for a little while to thicken up, and then add the cream ingredients. You are going to be adding 2 different types of milk, but again, I'll leave the recipe in the description box. Once that mixture has cooked for a little while, you'll notice that it becomes quite a bit more thick. Go ahead and add your freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I use the pre-grated one from Costco. I do find that the quality is quite good, but there have been other times that I have just grated a block myself. Mix the cheese in really well and then set it aside to cool. I'm going to be using this sauce for a couple of things. We'll be using it for the casserole as well as I'll be freezing it in portions. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut the broccoli for the casserole. Cut it into whatever size you want. I've just done basic bite-sized pieces. Cut up into bite-sized pieces for this recipe. One of the things that I wish that I had done that's not part of the recipe is season the chicken breast beforehand. I think that I would probably make this recipe again, but that's definitely something that I would do. I think the thing with this recipe is that it's really flexible, so you could season the chicken with kind of whatever you wanted. To assemble the casserole, we're going to spray the pan with some non-stick cooking spray, add the broccoli, add the Alfredo sauce. I'm adding milk after, but I think this recipe calls for some kind of heavy cream, which I don't have, and I was not about to buy it based on the amount that was needed for this recipe. I just used what I had at home. Add the rice, give it a quick stir, then lay the chicken on top, add the seasoning that you wish along with the Parmesan cheese. Cover with foil and bake. In one of my previous videos, I used this ground turkey tube from Costco. It was really awful texture, so I just wanted to get it used up and out of the freezer, and I will never buy it again, and that's my advice to you. If your Costco has the ground turkey in a tube, don't buy it. I'll be using it to make egg roll in a bowl with some sticky rice. So I've added some oil to the pan, added the turkey. Then while it's cooking, I've added some freshly crushed garlic as well as some sambal hot sauce. When it's about half cooked, I'm gonna go ahead and make the sauce. So I have some soy sauce, some ground ginger, some oil, and garlic powder. One of the things that I wish that I had put in was a little bit of some kind of sweetener, either brown sugar or honey. So if you do try this recipe, I recommend doing that. Okay, so I actually ran out of storage on my phone, which is how I'm filming. But I wanted to show you that this was the chicken and rice casserole. After I took off the foil, you can see here, I actually put it back in the oven to broil for a couple of minutes. I don't remember exactly how long, but if you're gonna do that, just keep an eye on it. And then this is the egg roll in a bowl all done. I put in the sauce before I added the cabbage. I did not leave the cabbage on the heat for too long because I don't want it to get like too soggy, but I did use a full package. I'm so sorry, I can't remember how much it was. I'm gonna see if I can find it, and I'll tell you how many like grams it was. So this is what it looks like, and you'll see my rice is actually still in the rice cooker, the sticky rice, but it doesn't matter because it's keeping it warm and it'll be just fine. So I'm going to take it out. The last thing we're going to make today is some banana bread. My brother-in-law had a whole bunch of extra ones that he brought over, so why not? You must try this recipe if you like banana bread. It is one of the best ones I've ever had. By no means is it healthy. There's a lot of sugar in it, but for a treat, it's absolutely worth it. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.